little bit around here. G Perspective is definitely a show that provides all the politics, the social, all the business, all the sports and entertainment. That's what we provide as a content on Crooked Streetz Radio. Myself, E Supreme, is a host. I do have a co-host who's not here with us tonight, but SP is also a part of the show. And tonight, this is a special night for Baltimore. This is the time where we are going to discuss the state of hip-hop from the Baltimore perspective. This is what Crooked Streetz is representing. This is what we're all about in the community, is enhancing the culture of hip-hop. That's what we bring to the table. So, you know, my family is in the house. We got Paparazzi P. We got Dragon over here. We got Phoenix with Phoenix on the rise. That's the Crooked Streetz family. And myself, E Supreme. So, without further ado, I'm just share how this thing is going to kind of go down tonight. We got a lovely panel here that's going to provide us and enlighten us on different perspectives as far as hip-hop is concerned. So we're going to introduce him here shortly. But at the same time, what this is all about is basically here in Baltimore, there's a plethora of talent. And, you know, this is a city that's thriving, it's booming. We're always on point. We always stay upbeat with what's going on in the hip-hop community. But the biggest thing is that we're still not being recognized or known for that mecca of hip-hop here in Baltimore. So what is it? Is it understanding the business, the science behind it? Is it the MC? Is it the artist, you know, just trying to make that niche and find his way or his path? Or is it the producer, the engineer? You know, there's so many facets of hip-hop that take place, and just really understanding the whole game from the beginning to the end is how you're going to be successful in this whole industry. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my panel. I'm going to start here. We have Golden Seal. I got Jahli and Reflection. All right. Got my man DBS, Baltimore's own. All right. We've got my man Greenspan. All right. My man Supreme. Mr. Impossible. MI.
What up? What up?
All right. So we're going to go ahead and kick this thing off. All right. You know, how I see hip-hop and understanding everything that goes on for my love of hip-hop, it's always been, what's my favorite MC? My favorite MC has always been Redman. That's my favorite MC, hands down. He always bring it. There's not an album out there that's never inconsistent. Now, but when I look at the career of a hip-hop icon, I always look at Nas. Nas has always had a stellar career. We're talking 9 solo albums, double platinum, gold, however you want to put it. He's had a stellar career. Since Illmatic is always going to be a classic, hands down. But the biggest thing with hip hop and how he takes it is, what is the accountability of some of the artists that are out here? What are we doing every day to try to avoid the trend? So G Perspective is about sharing articles and news and whatnot. So I went and did my due diligence. I got my little handy document here. So I just want to kind of share something that I came across with Nas with discussing the state of hip hop. Okay. This was an interview that was conducted with Michael Eric Dyson. And he's a big fan of Nas, as you probably most of you probably already know. But so I'm gonna just indulge. So Nas himself basically stated in this interview, he said, "The ability of hip hop to bring wealth to artists growing up in poverty is great, but the genre is lacking artistic responsibility. I don't see enough MCs who are brave enough to be honest. There's a lot of good stuff and a lot of bad in rap. The socially conscious stuff can come off as preachy. Some people stay down for that, but it's not their bad. And basically, they still have to have some kind of artistic responsibility to do more than what the latest trend." So what I'm basically ask one of the panel, and we're gonna move to the left to allow everyone the opportunity to comment and chime in on the question. All right? So wherever I start out, whoever I pick out, we're just gonna move to the left to the last person has that opportunity. Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna direct this question to DBS. DBS, describe the artistic responsibility as it pertains to you in the hip hop community? And also, does the latest trend drive the culture in Baltimore?
That's a good question. As far as the responsibility, I believe the responsibility is first off to come as you are. The way that I feel that as far as being an artist, there's so many different things that's being copied, you know what I'm saying? But there's not really too much originality, you know what I mean? So it's a matter of what you bring to be original, you know what I'm saying, in everything that you do. Whether it's your style, whether it's your sound, regardless whatever it is, I feel as if that's definitely something that you want to always stick to your roots. Like I told you that before. It's a matter of always sticking to your roots, to actually be what it is that you actually are, you know what I'm saying? To actually start and branch off from that. As far as what it brings to Baltimore, the biggest thing is more so a matter of to be original, but also as far as when it comes to the sound of the artist. But as well as it don't just stop there. It also continue to go on throughout the business side of it as well, right, as far as how you handle business and everything else like that. You want to always remember that you are, first off, you are an artist, but as far as being an artist, you want to also know that there will never be another you. So you want to always continue to kind of like just stick to your roots and continue, you know what I'm saying, whether it's your sound, whether it's the way that you handle business and anything else like that, you know what I mean, just kind of like always pay homage to what it is that you actually originated from, what you started from, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I think that's the point that he's trying to touch on, you know, being, you know, accountable for your own artisanship. You know, basically being original in the aspect to kind of step away and step back and like, okay, I'm not going to be the norm. I'm going to differentiate myself enough to stand out.
Definitely.
And I think with a lot of striving artists in Baltimore, I asked that question, is that, as far as the latest trend, is that something that drives Baltimore in the culture of hip hop? Are we the ones that really kind of strive to hit on the norm, or basically trying to step back and be someone that's different and bring a different sound? Definitely. So I'm gonna pass it on to Greenspan, kind of get some chime in on that.
Yeah, I feel like the problem with artistic responsibility is self-awareness. You feel me? Like you gotta know yourself to be able to be yourself. You feel me? And I feel like keeping up, like a lot of people, a lot of artists, whether it's lyricists, vocalists, producers even. I know a bunch of producers are like, yo, I figure I'm gonna get my most money making trap beats, so that's what I'm doing, but that ain't what I love. And I'm like, yo, that's stupid. Keeping up is a whack perspective. You feel me? So it's like, yo, if you can be yourself, you know what I mean, you bringing that, like the brother piggybacking off of what he said, you bringing that fresh perspective to the table. You feel me?
Right.
And it's a market for everything. So it's like, yo, find your lane. Stop being lazy. You feel what I'm saying? It might be like you might be able to make all the sales you need to make in Belgium. You feel me?
Right.
I remember my DJ at the time years ago, DJ Soundwave. He went on tour with he was blessed with the opportunity to go on tour with Mindless Behavior. He called me from Belgium. He was like, yo, I'm in Belgium. I'm like, all right, what you want? He's like, yo, you got to get here. The waffles are better. I'm like, yo, what do you want? And he was like, yo, you got to get over here. They got Freeway and Joel Ortiz and stuff like that on the radio. Like their main radio, that's what they're playing. I'm like, well, you know, at the time I was punching somebody's clock. So I'm like, well, sorry, I can't meet you over there right now.
Right.
But that's the thing. It's like your market may not be here, but realistically, it's a whole lot of music lovers here. So you can't get caught up in urban contemporary radio and think you need to keep up with that. And everybody don't need to do that. You can do it dope. I can do it dope. But it's like, what you got to offer?
Right. And that's what do you bring to the table? And what do you have to offer to the music itself? So Supreme, I mean, go ahead and let us know what your thoughts are.
How long do I have, right? Got a couple.
Keep it short. Keep it short.
I'll keep it short. I mean, my crew, they know my opinion on something like that. That question that you asked. I mean, basically, just to spin off of what the two gentlemen previously just said. I mean, you gotta be original first, you know, as an artist, you know, not copying as I think what they were both saying. you know, it is a responsibility as an artist too, I think, but all that's still, you know, still subjective too, because you know, most artists aren't going to be, you know, they're not going to want to say, you know, do the right thing. Some people, you know, some artists are going to just say, you know, it's okay to pop Molly, and then some artists are going to say it's, you know, it's not P. You know, you're not going to have another PE or KRS-One, you know, in the new millennium. I mean, we're in the second, almost in the second decade of the 2000s. So a lot of stuff from the 90s and the 80s, I mean, it's not going to be repeated. And then, you know, you're going to have, you got the millennials that sort of like not dictate, but that's what everyone, I mean, you got older people still, you know, doing, you know, dapping and, you know what I mean? It's like, that's right. What it is today, you know. And then as far as to spin it back onto how it relates to Baltimore, I mean, everything is copycat, no matter where you are. So everyone's going to look at, you know, everyone's glued to their phones and, you know, timelines and Instagrams and pictures. Everything's moving quickly. So, you know, it's just bits and pieces of information just coming at you. So there's no way to avoid it, you know, and everyone's going to have opinions and their own identity, but it seems like the trend is going towards, you know, not negative, but just, you know, because it's all perspective. It's like I was saying, just artistically, you know, that's where we are. It's just kind of like, you know, want it now, want it quick, and microwave, you know.
Yeah, that's the time we
just
live in. I mean,
just, you know, there's no way around it.
There's no way around
it.
I mean, the attention span of a person is like 7 seconds now.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got a small window, and you got to capitalize on that window at that any given moment, whatever it is, at the drop of a dime. And having that originality, if you are spontaneous and can kick it off like that, you're definitely, you know, making a mark for yourself. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Imai weigh in on this.
I mean, well, when it comes to art, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, do you do your art, for the love of the art, or do you do it for money? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're doing it for money, then it's a whole different demographic for you, because you're going for an audience, and that's when marketing comes into it, and that's when what can sell and what's popular. We know people go with what's familiar. A DJ's only gonna play a record that's in the same tempo as the other records that he's playing, so it forces you into a certain element when you're doing it to fit that. When you're trying to fit what, you can't play White Iverson and then play a Nas record in a club. It's gonna throw people off. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So at the end of the day, like, I do my art because I love art. That's not how I make my money. I'm not planning on making money doing it regardless. If I make money doing it, it's cool. But that's why my music sounds like the music I want to make, not the music they want me to make. You feel what I'm saying?
That's passion there.
So, you know, if you're in it to make money, then you got a different fight than I have. I let my shit happen organically.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
real talk. Ladies.
My perspective, when you talk about does the latest trend drive the culture of Baltimore hip hop, I think it's dynamic. When you talk about trend, I think that in culture, I think that it is inclusive of trendy music, commercial music. That is a culture. However, I do, you know, what Greenspan said and the brother down at the end resonated with me with being authentic and, you know, knowing your sense of self right? And that kind of drives what you're putting out and your confidence and, you know, your backing behind what you feel is authentic for you. And if you're talented enough, God willing, that will sell for you, or that will bring you some fruit. And your fruit might not look like his fruit. You know, if you're looking for money, you know, that could be your fruit. But if you're looking for recognition and you're looking for 5 mics and, you know, quote unquote, you know, just some respect, you know, that could be your fruit. So, and then in terms of what Nas was alluding to, if lacking in responsibility, I feel that he was talking about social, being conscious and aware of social issues and being able to connect that musically and convey that musically, you know, so that, I mean, you have a voice, you have the platform, and a lot of artists sometimes lose perspective of being about bringing up the community. So
I can agree to that. I mean, there's a social responsibility even when you are an artist. So, you know, having the aspect and understanding of the community to be able to give back in whatever capacity, and whether it's represented through lyrics or your physical presence, that's something that has to be done. That's like a part of your job. You know, if you were a big corporation has a social responsibility. And that is whether it's giving back to a local organization or whether it's going in and giving books to kids at a school. So, I mean, the accountability stretches far from what I'm hearing across the panel. I mean, from whether it's passion or whether it's, you know, taking the time out to differentiate yourself and be original, it seems as though that accountability is so critical to your career when you're a striving artist. And, you know, the latest trend in Baltimore, as far as it being, I guess, whether or not there's a fad or whether or not we're on that gravy train or jumping on the bandwagon of what's happening to be able to make a buck, you have to make the decision. And it seems as though, from what I gather, is that your own interpretation of what it is that you're trying to do for self is what's going to gather you and make you through. So I'm going to move on to